Riddle me this. What's yellow, blue, green, and totally Mondo? Why, this totally awesome Mondo Madballs Slobulus, of course. Man, this thing was amazingly gross. And I'm so bummed I didn't buy this. Why didn't I buy it? Why? I'm such a putz. Wait a minute. I know something else that's yellow, blue, green, and totally Mondo. And best of all, I actually bought it. It's the brand new Super7 Ultimates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Wave 4 Mondo Gecko. Man, I've been dying to open this guy up, and he's just been taunting me every day for the past couple of weeks. Come on, Gary, open me up. You know, Mondo was one of the coolest toys to be released back in the original toy line, and, I'm glad that he is one of the earliest figures to be released in this brand new Ultimates line. I mean, sort of. I mean, he's either number 13, 14, 15, or 16. So, this guy was put up for pre-order in October of 2020, and, I didn't get mine until December. No, I didn't get mine until January of 2022. I ordered mine from Big Bad Toy Store, and for some reason, Mondo Gecko and Casey Jones shipped late from them, Also, I might as well mention that if you think this guy looks pretty awesome, I think he's still available on Big Bad Toy Store now, so go buy him, right? This totally tubular figure comes packaged in this brown mailer. This is either to protect the box within to ensure maximum mint condition, or, just to annoy you. Like, come on, can't I get to my figure yet? What is this, Fort Knox? Just give me my guy already. Jeez. So, you got to open this guy up, or this box up, and inside, it never ends. Never. Come on. Your guy comes packaged in another bag. Like, come on. I don't want that. I just want the guy. Or the cool slipcover package. So once you get rid of that old bag, you're left with your slipcover packaging. Now, this is pretty awesome looking. I gotta say, I really love this design with all these Ultimates. There's just something about this slipcover design that is just really, really cool. And, if you want to be a even crazier mint on card collector, this thing will protect your guy from UV lights underneath or whatever, So there won't be any fading on your action figure whatsoever here in your room. All right, so on the front here, you have a manhole. It's got Mondo Gecko's face. On both sides, you have his skateboard. Mondo Gecko doesn't have any weapons, so... there's no weapons on the sides. All the good guys in this line have a green slipcover, and the bad guys have a purple slipcover. Down at the bottom, it just says ages 14 plus and Super 7. On the back, there is not much information at all, just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, contents, one figure with accessories, and again, Super 7. Man, what a bunch of hogs. Putting their name on this thing twice. All right, so let's open up that slipcover. My gosh, this is like airtight. So there he is. There is the great and awesome Mondo Gecko. That looks amazing. Now, in my opinion, I don't think any of the promo shots of this guy did him any justice. I don't know. There's always been something weird looking about like his face or something like that. If you look at those shots that Super 7 put up, I never felt like the proportions shown in those shots looked right. There was just something like goofy about it or something. But actually seeing this in person, the face looks perfect. The whole head shape and everything like that just looks perfectly like that original old toy. And of course, we are going to take a closer look at that. But yeah, that looks great. If you are a mint on card collector, well, you're in luck because all these Ultimates figures have these giant windows so you can see your action figure inside and all the accessories, to tempt you every day to want to open it up, but you don't want to because eventually when you die, I assume you're going to want your kids to sell these things to put their kids through college or something like that. That's the purpose of being a mint on card collector, right? So around your figure, you have this cool design. It's green bricks for the good guys, and the bad guys have blue bricks. And on the back here, you have a description of Mondo Gecko. The description for Mondo Gecko reads, Mondo Gecko, the rip-roaring skateboarding reptile, a loner, a lizard, a skate master, mutated from a headbanging thrash metal teenage guitarist. Mondo Gecko is the coolest lizard to surf the concrete jungle. Known to his cold-blooded Borden brethren as the Mon, Mondo Gecko likes to skate the sewers and grease the grind. This maximum maniac grooves on shining the curbside and puts fun and freedom ahead of everything else. He's always stoked and looking for new adventure. So when the turtles need some extra help, Mondo's ready to skate, rattle, and roll. Very awesome. That origin was always my favorite for Mondo Gecko. I always liked when he was like a heavy metal kid, like the Ninja Turtles Archie comics. I didn't necessarily like the Fred Wolf take on Mondo Gecko as much, where he was a lizard mutated into a lizard man. So I'm wasting a lot of time here. It's time for me to open this guy up, move him around, make sure nothing's broken, and I will talk to you in a second. So here he is, free from his cardboard prison, ready to go skateboarding on private property. This guy looks great, but I think that he is one of those ultimates that you kind of have to put him in like a squatting position. Otherwise, his legs look a little like kind of funny. Some of it is because the bottom halves of his legs are so small compared to the top halves. The original toy line, he was always like squatting or like maybe standing how you would stand on a skateboard. So I think that you mostly want to pose this guy like this. He's got really thin little ankles too. I think some of the reason why people think that like he should always be like sort of like standing upright is because of the promo shots that Super7 releases for their action figures. I think these shots are taken of their like prototypes or something like that, and they can't bend where their articulation is. So they're just kind of like stuck, standing straight up with their, arms pretty straight out. I could be wrong, I don't know, but that's just my opinion, I guess. At first glance, the first thing you notice is just the bright 90s colors, the bright blue, the bright yellow, and then just sort of like the neon green of his skin, which is really awesome. And then the other thing you notice is just all the scales. The scales on this guy look awesome. The scales on his face, I believe that they're mirrored, like probably when they're modeling this guy and the program, they probably mirror the one side to the other. So like all the scales look very similar on both sides. But then when you get to the arms and the legs, the scales are all unique depending on which side you're looking at. So that's nice, I'm okay with the scales on the face being mirrored because, it's hard to find the right balance when you're trying to work in such a small area and you don't want it to look kind of goofy or have things out of place. The arms, you can get away with making them unique because if you have like a couple bulging spots out, you're not going to notice it by looking at side to side. The hands too are also mirrored from side to side, but they just added this glove here. You can tell that the fingers on both sides are very similar, and I just want to say the detail on the hands, like on all the knuckles, you have all the wrinkles. They look amazing. They look pretty awesome. And they have like a wash over this guy, on all these scaly parts, which really helps make these scales pop. You really get that like sense of depth with the darker color in between all the scales. I don't know. This guy is pretty awesome. But I do have a problem with mine, unfortunately, which, I'm pretty bummed about. All right, so my guy's head is extremely loose. And why is his head so loose? Well, it's because he's got a neck problem, all right? So the way that this guy is set up is he has like a rod. You have a ball in the neck, and then you have a ball in the base of the head, and you have a rod in between, right? So you're supposed to take off the head. It's supposed to pop off that top ball. But when I tried to take off the head, what happened was the ball pulled out of the neck, and it actually cracked the neck and sort of stretched it out a little bit. So even when I put this in here, it's kind of loose. And I'll show you exactly what I mean, and hopefully not knock over my light over here. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, God. So then that ball is supposed to be in that neck, but it's not. And there's a crack there, which, sucks. Like, it gets bigger every time I pull this off. So I don't even know what I'm going to do here. I like the other head more than this head. Eventually what I might do is just kind of pull this rod piece out with pliers and then, put it in the other head and put it in that neck and, just leave it. I have like contacted the store about getting a new one, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. You might have wondered, what the hell was that sound? Well, behind me, there is a wooden staircase. I sit at like right at the top of my staircase in my attic. So when I pulled that head off, I accidentally knocked this skateboard down it. And I will be happy to say that, this thing must be of pretty decent quality because it fell all the way down there, all the way to the bottom, and there's not even a nick or anything on this. So that was great. I was really worried when I got to the bottom of the steps. When they first announced this Mondo Gecko action figure, his paint was a little different. You know, he didn't have the thick blue eyebrows, and they didn't even paint his underbelly. And I actually said in my NECA Mondo Gecko review, I said that I wished that Super7 would have painted this underbelly blue, you know, to make this Ultimate like above and beyond. Well, take a look at that. They painted the underbelly blue. It's like they read my mind before I even made my video, before I even knew to think about it. They thought about it, like they knew I was going to say it. So that is pretty cool. You could also make the argument that, you know, maybe they were taking a look at this variant of Mondo Gecko when they didn't paint the eyebrows blue. You know, maybe, right? Maybe. But, you know, we are not going to compare the this Ultimate to this Mondo Gecko because he is just a little different. We're going to compare him to the more basic Mondo Gecko design or paint scheme. So Mondo doesn't have like a ton of like crazy detail on him like Muckman or something like that. So this will be relatively, you know, easy to go over. First thing I want to say is like, as I've been sitting here like looking at this when he has that like black hair going over his face like that, I really get like a Michael Jackson vibe, you know, more than just like a rocker dude. It reminds me of like Michael Jackson during like the Bad Tour or something like that. All right, so as you can see here, he has the blue eyebrows that he originally had back in the day, but there's like a little bit of blue missing in between the eyes there. The original one had like these blue dots in the eyes. I don't know if that's just supposed to be like a fake glare or what. Like I don't understand why he has that because he has slits. I'm glad that they didn't include that because I just like the slit eyes. I think those look pretty awesome. The original one doesn't look like he has nostrils. The new one does. The scales all look good. I really like the braces on his teeth. I think those are pretty cool. And if you actually look at the teeth, there are the same number of teeth, and the shapes match the original one really well. Like, see how he has like those two above the tongue there, and he's got three behind that on the top and the bottom. That's all the same. Even over here, where you can see that like there's a big gap between that tooth and that tooth. He's got that, you know, so they did a really good job of copying all that detail. I will say that I think his beak is like a little shorter than the original one proportionately to, you know, his head. I like, you know, the hat looks really good and has some added detail here. So you have like some lines here going across. You have like some stitched lines on the brim of the hat here that is missing from the original hat. The hair looks good. You know, the original one had this really thick black paint on it, so it was kind of hard to see any detail on that. And even like, you know, this little tiny like bulge down here underneath his mouth. You know, he originally had that too. That looks all cool. I really like how the skull and skateboard crossbones here. The original one was a little, I don't know, just like a little sloppy looking or something like that. Like it's just kind of like a very like crude drawing of a skull. This one looks awesome. Like the detail on this one looks fine. The ink is really well done. You know, I think that looks way better. The skateboard and the bone there, they look cool too. Which is what's interesting about the yellow shirt is that they matched all these like how they matched all these rips. Like they are exactly the same on both shirts. I don't know why the original one has like this little like lip coming around the rips. That's kind of weird. So he doesn't have the blue underbelly now. The original one did not. And, you know, I think that's cool that they included that. His arms, you can see that he does have like the blue pattern on his arms, except the original one had a lot more. One thing that I think is cooler about this new Mondo Gecko is that they made the spikes on the back of the arms this light blue color. Because, you know, the original one, they just painted a purple, which was the same exact purple as the elbow pad here. And, you know, that's kind of strange, right? So it looks way cooler having this as a light blue color. This elbow pad is you know, just kind of generic. You know, it's just like a circle. The original one has like cracks and stuff like that in it, so it is a little different. The elbow pad over here is more similar to the original one, where you kind of have like this brim or whatever around this circle. Same thing here, you know. That's all good. You know, the scales don't, like, they didn't match like scale by scale. You know, they weren't crazy like that or anything like that. But you know, they just all look really good. And I really think that, you know, he's got like these I don't know if they're like gecko hands or like lizard hands or something like that, where they kind of get like fat and stubby down at the tips. They did a really good job of, you know, keeping that look with this brand new Mondo Gecko. The only thing that they forgot, which is a very tiny, you know, little thing that, who cares? He had a vein on the back of his hand. They forgot that. This is a piece of junk. Nah, I'm just kidding. All right, so the hand here, you know, the glove hand looks good. Hey, like Michael Jackson again, he's got one glove on. All right, so now they have this little space here painted green. He's got like these sweatpants that are kind of rolled up. The you know, the original one looks pretty cool. This new one looks pretty cool too. The other one looks a little more like, I don't know, more like torn or something like that. But it, you know, it all looks good. The knee pad here, I love how this thing is just like a super spike now. It is really pointy compared to that original one, but don't worry. It's a little soft, so it's not going to hurt you or anything like that. Unlike some of the other Super 7 toys, which are like super sharp and hard. So, you know, this is a little pliable, a little flexible. The shoes look good. It looks as though they have painted the shoelaces sort of like a dark gray. But, you know, other than that, like, the design is very similar. You know, there's not much difference to how those shoes look. The bottoms are red. I don't know. Mondo Gecko was always cool. Like, I liked his style. You know, as a kid, I'd try to dress like this and stuff. They added like a gray band coming off the knee pad. And the skull knee pad looks very similar, except it's a little cooler. You know, it's got a wash on it to make it really pop, and the teeth are a lot bigger. The wash on the brand new Ultimates figure like really makes him stand out compared to that original action figure. You know, I'm glad that they didn't just leave this guy, you know, toy green like a Marvel Legends action figure. You know, that's one of my biggest complaints about Marvel Legends toys is the paint is always lacking, and it just looks so much like a toy. Like, having this wash on here just really makes it look so much cooler. On the back here, they added some wrinkles coming down the back of the shirt, and they look really nice. You know, they look very realistic. A really nice upgrade is like the hole in the back of his pants where his tail sticks out. You know, the original one, it just has this circle. You know, there's no detail or anything like that there. But this new one on the back of his pants, there's like all these wrinkles. It looks like he's all ripped up and pulled out, like the tail just like shot out there when it mutated. It looks really great. You know, I like it a lot. And you know, I also really like the spikes on his tail. I like how that they protrude a little more, and they're very like spiky. They look more realistic, more like a real, I don't know, he doesn't really necessarily look like a gecko. He's more like an iguana. But I think that the spikes on the tail and, you know, all those scales really look amazing. The scale, no, the tail skate here. They painted the rope red that goes around the tail skate. They left the skate blue, but they painted the wheels red, which is fine because that actually makes it match the, you know, the skateboard he drives around on or rides around on. So that's cool. You know, that's it. You know, there's not really much more. I don't know how I missed it, but you can see here that they painted the lace holes silver, and they look very clean and look really nice there too. They did a really good job of upscaling this guy without losing any definition. You know, they even kept the proportions pretty close to the original one, where he's got like these longer upper legs and then his lower legs are pretty short. So, you know, that's all cool. And then, you know, just for a quick, you know, mention, this variant of Mondo Gecko, you know, he doesn't have the slit eyes. He does not have a painted knee pad, and, you know, his tail skate is, you know, not painted at all. But he's still okay. He's cool, I guess. Let's talk about articulation. Now, the original Mondo Gecko actually has less articulation than most Ninja Turtle action figures, because most Ninja Turtle action figures have a cut in the arm, right? You can always twist them at the shoulder, and then you usually have something going on in the forearm, the bicep, or the elbow, somewhere around there. But Mondo, you can only just turn his head. You can turn his arms around. I guess maybe they saved some money on articulation in the arms so that they could put it into the tail, because the tail has this, you know, ball joint here. You got to be really careful with these old Playmates toys, because that joint in there will break, and then the legs will become loose, and he'll be useless. And then he's got ball jointed legs, and that is, you know, all Mondo Gecko can do. The brand new Mondo Gecko has a lot of useful articulation, but I also feel like some of it is very, like, a little limited. Like, I was having a hard time when I was trying to get him into poses for the shots in this video, like trying to get his arms into, you know, like neat poses and stuff like that. Like, they're very limited. They can only go up about this high. And I don't know, like, even like stretching forward, there's just something about him that's just a little too stiff or something like that. So the head, of course, has a ball joint, and as I showed you, my joint is messed up, so his head spins around. Quick side note here, in the time that I began this video and got up to this point, I have contacted Big Bad Toy Store and told them about the cracked neck hole, and they actually issued me a refund, and I rebought Mondo Gecko, so I should have a new one, which is awesome. So, you know, I cannot stress how awesome Big Bad Toy Store is. Buy Big Bad Toy Store forever and always. All right, so his shoulder joint spins around. He's got a hinge there, go about that high. You have single jointed elbows. You know, whatever. They got a hinge there. They swivel around. You the wrist can swivel, and there is a hinge. Now, there is a ball joint inside the top of the shirt here, or like between the shirt and the abdomen here. There's a ball joint, so you can move them around a little bit, but not too much. Usually, when you try to spin this around too, it just spins around the waist cut. The legs are a little stiff. You know, this is another thing where, like, I'm a little worried about breaking this guy. I feel like this guy just seems a little more like fragile than most of these Ultimates figures for some reason. So, you know, there is you can like swivel that around that ball joint there. The ball joint can move forward, back, and up like that. He's got single jointed knees. They bend like so and swivel like so. Like I said earlier, you really want to get this guy in crouch positions all the time, so it's really good that there's a lot of space between his leg and this shoe. Like, the top of the shoe is very big, so you can kind of get a lot of good movement there with that hinge inside the ankle, and you also do have ankle rockers. The tail has a ball joint. You can spin it around. And you know what's pretty exciting? I didn't realize it until, you know, taking a closer look at this guy. There's a little joint down here. You got a little swivel, you know, in case you need to prop him up a certain way. And that is all. I'll admit it. When I first opened this guy up, I kind of thought that he was a little small, you know. But when you put him next to the Ninja Turtles, he just looks awesome. In the original toy line, Mondo Gecko was supposed to be 4 feet tall, and the Ninja Turtles were supposed to be 5 feet tall. So they did a good job of keeping that scale or proportion between Mondo and the guys. However, you know, this is not like a set-in-stone thing. Slash is supposed to be, I think, 6 feet tall or something like that. And if you look at Slash next to Surfer Michelangelo, what the heck is his name? I can't remember the name for that. Anyways, he is not a whole foot taller proportionately, over Michelangelo. So don't hold it against him too much. I've also come to appreciate his smaller size because, this really helps keep this line dynamic. You have the huge guys like Muckman and Bebop and Rocksteady, and you can have small guys like Mondo, all on your shelf, creating an exciting scene of different shapes and sizes, without any boring uniformity to drag you down. That's one of the best things about this line, the lack of a uniform look. As much as I love Masters of the Universe classics, all those guys are pretty much the exact same size, same body proportions. But here, all these Ninja Turtles are not the Ninja Turtles themselves, but all the mutants are unique and special and awesome. So now, let's talk about accessories. First up, you have the turbocharged sewer skateboard. Now, the original one looked more of like a 80s board, where you kind of have like the fat top and it was pointed in the middle. It has the one tail in the back. And this original accessory actually does have the tail angled up, because, you push down on that to do like a kickflip or an ollie or whatever. I don't know much about skateboarding. I just remember that skaters hate bladers, right? This new one looks more of like a, I guess more of like a flattened 90s board, because you have such like a rounded end over here. But down in the back here, I guess you don't have that rounded edge. You would have that kind of connected again. But it's completely flat. So that's kind of disappointing, because it's not as dynamic as that original sewer skateboard. The logo or the sticker, though, looks like way better. Like that fire actually looks like fire. That looks really cool. And this skull and skateboard crossbones here, the original one looks like, maybe some like 5-year-old tried to draw like a skull and crossbones on his like notebook or something like that, where this one looks like a professionally drawn logo. Like, it looks really nice. The ink job is done really well. I like how the fire is like shooting out the top of this engine part. You kind of like only have like a little etching of that in the top of the original skateboard, so it is kind of cool to see that fully realized here. The metallic paint highlights, I think, look really nice on this skateboard. Although there is something like maybe a little more dynamic or cartoony about this original engine design. I kind of like how these exhaust pipes like kind of bend down and go around. It seems like a little more like spontaneous or something like that, where this one is very straight, maybe a little like too stiff or something. One of the bigger letdowns of the new one is just that they don't have these engine details here on the back here. I don't know why they cut all that out, but that stuff looked cool back there. On the bottom, you mostly have all the same shapes and stuff like that. It's just like not as like, I think that maybe there was like some more, there was like a balance or something like that in the busyness of this original skateboard. All these bits and pieces are kind of big and kind of like pushed together and on top of each other, but you look at it and it looks cool. On the new one, you have most of those same exact shapes, but because this board is longer, there's more like negative space between them. So they kind of like, I don't know, to me they don't relate to one another the same way that they used to or something. I don't know how to describe it to you. It still looks cool. I just kind of wish maybe it was like a little more busy or something like that. Plus there's like some bits here missing. Like, you see how you have like this rod coming down here and it ends into this like cone, whatever. Those pieces right there are not on this one. This one just has a completely straight rod or pole or whatever that's supposed to be. But yeah, you can see that a lot of it is different. It's cool. It's just, it's just a little different. On top of the turbocharged sewer skateboard, there are 2 pegs. Now, I would be careful because once, yesterday, I had his foot on the peg, and then I think he fell over a little bit, and it actually pulled the peg out of the board, and then I had to super glue it back into place. These pegs are super glued to begin with. They're not like actually attached to this board, so that might happen for you. I feel like I push his feet down into the pegs, but they either have a hard time going in or they kind of just slowly pop off after a while. So most of the times I've been just kind of standing him up on the board without using them even. Just for the sake of going over everything, here is the NECA turbocharged sewer skateboard. Now you can see that it doesn't have the skull and the skateboard crossbones, but it does have a fully painted engine, which is pretty neat looking. You know, a lot of the details are very similar to that original toy, but I don't know. Both are pretty neat, but I kind of, I kind of lean towards this one just because of that cool logo design, and I don't know. It's a little more exciting, especially the bottom. There's nothing on the NECA one because there's nothing on the cartoon version. So up next, I'm going to talk about Mondo's extra head. And I like this head a lot, which is why I'm so bummed that I wasn't able to just pull that old head off and pop that on there. I'm going to have to wait for my new Mondo Gecko to come in the mail. I think it has a really great looking expression. Like I said, the original promo shots, I didn't think it looked that great, but seeing it in person, it just looks like 100 times better than I was expecting. I think the teeth look pretty cool. I like how they're like not perfect. You got like all these wonky weird teeth, and you have like the big gap here for where he sticks his tongue out. On the other side, there's also another gap. I like how he's got like these huge molars, and they have like crevices and like marks etched into them. You know, it really gives his face a lot of character. And yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot. I think even the hair, how it's like flipped above the head, is really cool. And even the back hair, or the hair in the back, I think is a little bit nicer than the design of the original head. So, you know, like I said, when I get my new Mondo Gecko, the first thing I'm going to do is change the head. I'll even like, you know, how the tongue is done. You know, it looks very reptilian, very nice. I don't know. This is an awesome head. I just think that maybe it throws me a little bit when you look at it dead on. You know, I think it's best to look at it in a 3/4 view. Last up for accessories, we have Mondo Gecko's 8 different hands. Now, first up, you have these somewhat casually relaxed hands. You know, they're not gripping hands. They're a little bit of reaching hands, expression hands, that sort of thing. They match the original Mondo Gecko's hands. Next up, Mondo has stretched out hands, or balancing hands, because that's what these are, right? This is for when he's riding a skateboard and he's going like, whoa, 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 whoa. The detail on the palm of his hand is actually really nice looking. Yeah, that is pretty nice. Next up, Mondo has a set of gripping hands. Now these are perfect for grabbing other people's weapons, because he doesn't have any. And I guess also eating pizza. 7th, Mondo has one fist. Only a left-handed fist. Does that make him left-handed too, just like Muckman? You know, this is cool. The detail is really nice. And just like the mass of the hand looks really good, it looks very practical. You know, it doesn't look like kind of goofy. Sometimes you get fists and they're like kind of like squished in and stuff. This all looks nice. You know, the palm of the hand looks good. And then on the right side, the 8th and final hand, you have the shaka, or the was it hang loose or something like that it means. I had no idea this actually had a name. You know, every kid did this back in the day, back in the 90s, but I would just walk around and be like, gnarly dude. You know, I had no idea it meant like hang 10 or whatever. But you know, this is a very nice looking hand too. Very well done. Now that we're done with accessories, we can take a look at Mondo next to some of the different Ninja Turtle lines. And of course, I got to start with Ultimates because, after all, he is an Ultimate. And, you know, this perfectly shows, like, the range of size and scale in this line, because you can have somebody small like Mondo next to the medium-sized characters like Donatello, the Shredder, and then you have the completely gigantic characters like Bebop, Rocksteady, and Muckman. You know, truly, this line is offering you a lot of really awesome things. And, you know, if you haven't jumped on board, I don't know what you're doing, but you got to jump on board. Here you can see Mondo Gecko next to some of the NECA Fred Wolf action figures. Now, both of these lines, in my opinion, are, you know, far exceeding my expectations. And really, the only one that's better than the other one just, you happens to be which one do you prefer? The Ninja Turtles in the cartoon or the Ninja Turtles in the toy line, But like I said, both of them are amazing. Here's Mondo next to some of the NECA Mirage Ninja Turtle figures. Obviously he looks cool next to them. You have to put like some kind of black wash all over him to try to make him match these guys, but I don't know. Mondo Gecko was never a Mirage comic book, so you probably don't even want to stand this guy up next to the Mirage Turtles. Here you can see Mondo next to some of the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie action figures. It kind of looks like Toka saying like, "Mama, Mama," and Mondo's like, "No, man, it's Mondo, dude. Get it right." Here's Mondo Gecko next to some of the Playmates Ninja Turtle classics, or whatever they call them now, action figures. Here's Mondo Gecko next to a few original Playmates action figures. I think Leonardo's trying to give Mondo Gecko a ticket for skating in a church parking lot. Here are all of the basic Ninja Turtle characters from 1990. Truly, one of the best waves of any toy line in all existence. And here, you can see 3 of them in this brand new Ultimates style. When every figure gets released in this wave, this shot will be impossible. Finally, here's my Ultimate Mondo Gecko comparison. Here he is next to the original Playmates action figure, which, we've already gone over quite a lot. You have that thick blue eyebrow and you have the red knee pad. Everything is pretty similar to that guy. But then you do have this one variant of Mondo Gecko from that original toy line. This Mondo Gecko doesn't have the black slits in the eyes. He doesn't have the blue eyebrows. He's just got like blue eyelids. And his one knee pad isn't painted red. That's weird. Oh, his tail skate isn't painted either. But other than that, he is pretty similar to the regular 1990 Playmates Mondo Gecko. I think there might be one other variant too, but I'm not 100% sure. If you know, let me know. There was a second version of Mondo Gecko in the original toy line. He's like one of the only characters who had multiple versions in that original series. From 1992, you have this rock and roll Mondo Gecko. Now, in all honesty, I never liked this guy. My brother had him, and I did not like him at all because my Mondo Gecko broke, and we still had that guy for years and years, and all I could think was, I wish you were the one that broke. Now, I got this picture from TMNTtoys.com, and, this Mondo Gecko, he looks like Old Man Gecko or something like that, This is like Mondo Gecko when he grew up. He's not that radical, abrasive, cool skateboarder anymore. He probably went to college for some useless degree, which took him nowhere, and now he spends all of his time yelling at people online, "You should eat organic foods!" Here you have the Fred Wolf, the NECA Fred Wolf Mondo Gecko. Now, the cool thing about Mondo Gecko in the original cartoon is his design was pretty much on spot. He was very faithful to that original toy. So he's got the one skull knee pad, the spiked one. The only thing he doesn't really have are the spikes on his arms, but I guess the blue eyebrows, he doesn't have those either. The logo is a little different, but in general, it's almost the exact same design, just a few color changes and stuff like that. I kind of like his white shoelaces. I think they make his shoes pop a lot more, and the white bottoms of the shoes, those are pretty cool. And last up, you have the 2012 Mondo Gecko. Now, will he stand? I don't know. All right. So this Mondo Gecko, he doesn't look anything like Mondo Gecko, but he actually looks like a real gecko. So I guess that's the plus there. The coolest thing about this guy was that in that cartoon, he was voiced by Robbie Rist, who was the first voice of Michelangelo in the movies. So, yeah. I mean, it's a decent design, I guess. This isn't my toy. This is my son's toy, but I don't know. He's all right. And that's it. Mondo is definitely a cool dude. My biggest complaint is the dumb neck joint. That sucks. But after that, he's perfectly good. The wash on his scales really helped them pop and add depth to his design. Super7 has been doing a great job recreating these figures from 1990 and just Ninja Turtles in general. Up next, I'll be taking a look at Donatello in my 100th video as Raz Rentals. So, talk to you later and have a good one.